Hello, and thank you for coming back for the last segment of the I Am Dr. Sharon show. I am here with Dr. Sharon B. Israel. He is originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. He began his educational career as a social studies high school teacher in 1998. He began his administrative career as an assistant principal in 2004, having worked in school districts in Dayton and Cincinnati, Ohio. He's an adjunct professor for Trinity University. He's the director for a public charter school in Washington, D.C., and also the author of Warrior Principal. He's the owner of Educational Practitioner for Better Schools. Dr. Israel, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I love my educators. And again, I tell you, it is really something. And before we get into all that you've done, I just want to really, first of all, applaud you for being a leader of an educational institution, public charter school in D.C., and just really talk about your experience, first of all, as an educational leader.
Okay. My experience has been great. You know, I got into school leadership around 2004 after finishing my master's degree at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio.
Okay.
And, you know, to me, and that's been the most rewarding experience as being an educator. Like you said, I started my career as a social studies teacher, but being in the leadership position has been the most fulfilling because I think I've been able to use all of my skills in terms of being an entrepreneur, being a visionary, and also being an educator and affect more students as opposed to just the few students that are in my classroom.
Absolutely. And so this leadership must have really sparked the interest in you authoring the Warrior Principal.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a little.
Well, you know, my authorship is just a means for me to give back to the community and me to contribute something that's solid that people can benefit from. And so the Warrior Principal was, you know, my fourth of the 5 books that I've written. And I wanted to write a book, in particularly for urban school leaders, because that's pretty much my niche, is urban education. And I wanted to write a book that aspiring educational leaders can read the book and know what the position is really like.
Absolutely.
And also experienced principals can read it and they can get additional understanding of how to do the position better. Because once you graduate from graduate school, whether at the master's or the doctoral level, the books that you read, the articles, all of the activities and the things that go into your program, they don't focus on the urban educational experience. And so I felt that there was a void there, and I want to fill that niche.
Absolutely. And so when did you found your practitioner?
Company, right.
Yes, a Better Schools.
Educational Practitioners for Better Schools. My wife and I, we started that company in 2013.
Wow.
And we wanted to, again, provide, you know, better professional development and consulting for urban educators and urban educational institutions that serve, you know, students that come from families of low socioeconomic status. Because a lot of times the professional development that they receive, you know, is not catered to that demographic and that population that they serve. And so we wanted to put our experiences together, and we want to, you know, target those particular institutions and provide those educators and, you know, not just teachers, but principals, assistant principals, counselors, with some professional development they can actually use in the environment that they're working in.
Absolutely. So do you all go out to schools, or how does, is it an individual, or do you work with schools?
Well, we consult with individuals.
Okay.
And also we go out to the institutions at their locations and provide the professional development.
Okay, that is really awesome. And since 2013,
yes.
5 years, that's impressive. Absolutely. And so really to keep it on with leadership. Leadership is my core. That's my being, specifically working with aspiring leaders in education specifically. As we go and continue to help and prepare our assistant principals and our teacher leaders to assume the role of an educational leader, what are some of your suggestions that they can do in the areas of where they are? Okay,
well, I would say they should start where they are and trying to take leadership roles there. Absolutely. So if you're a teacher, you can spearhead a club for students, or you can become a committee chair. If you're an assistant principal, you should just ask for as much responsibility as possible to try to learn as much about how schools operate. You should work with the parents. You should work with the students, work with teachers, get out in the community and build those community relationships and partnerships. So the more experience that you get in where you are, you can use that and leverage to the next level. I would also suggest find a mentor. Find someone that's in the position, that's doing it well, and see if they can mentor you and provide you with some guidance and some tutelage in terms of the best route to get in the position that you want to. And I would say, read, do a lot of reading. Don't just read books just because you're trying to get recertified or just take a few classes. Go to seminars, read books, as many as you can, and also read The Warrior Principle, because that book will put you in tune with what's really going on in the urban educational landscape.
And we know that in our urban schools, school climate, school culture is crucial to the success of any school, in any district, actually. What are some things that you have done or have in place that really will promote a positive school climate and culture, because they are different? Right,
and actually that's the first chapter that I delve into in terms of the Warrior Principle, but I use the recurring war theme throughout the book. So I transpose learning the terrain, because that's what a general would do in a particular war setting. If they were going to war, they had to learn the terrain. So the terrain in school leadership is school culture. And so the first thing that any principal worth a grain of salt should do is learn the existing culture of the school. And for those that aren't familiar with education, school culture is dealing with the set norms and practices within the school that people just do automatically. It also involves the traditions and the norms. And so the principal need to go in and be an observer and listen and ask questions and take all of these things in. And it doesn't happen like, in a day or two. It takes time. And so a lot of principals make the mistake. They don't learn the terrain. They just go in and they try to put their imprint on the school. And I want to try this. I want to do this. And some of these ideas that they get come from things that they've heard about or read or saw some other principals do in other schools. But you can't always take something over here and put it there. So you have to learn the school's culture, learn the traditions, learn the values that already exist. And then once you do that, that will inform your decision making on what to do and how to best move that school forward. So that's what I do personally, and that's what I also teach. That I go in, I listen, I learn, I observe, and then I take in all that information, use that to inform my decision making, and then I go in and I start plugging the holes. And then I work with the people that are already there, and collectively we form a plan or strategy to move the school forward. So it's just not about me as the principal. It's about us as a community.
I love that. And another important component is our engagement for our parent community, business partner community, and just school community in general. So what are some things that you would suggest for a new principal or aspiring principal to push that forward?
Well, it starts with, like I just mentioned, about learning the culture and being a listener and an observer. But parental engagement and community engagement is very tough in the urban setting because parents, you have a lot of students that come from disconnected families where they may stay in group homes and things of that nature. You have a lot of single parent families. You have children living with grandparents and things of that nature. So it's not a homogeneous parent population. So as an urban school principal, you have to, number one, know the top population that you're dealing with, get to know your parent population and how they're made up, and then you have to do constant outreach and connect with them. So the normal things of just sending things home through the mail and email may not work. You have to be visible. You have to get out in the community and make your presence felt. You might have to go to the community bingo. You might have to visit different taverns and wherever it is that's going, whatever's happening in that community, you have to make your presence felt so they can get to know you. And then once they see you and see your effort, because for the most part, most principals won't be in those places. And once they see you there, then you're going to resonate with the people. And once you resonate, you build that connection and you build leverage. So, And the one thing I want to add to that, the last thing is that when you're dealing with the urban population, it's not about quantity, it's more so about quality. So you can have a good small niche of parents that really support you and they're in your corner, and you can do more with that small niche than you can with 500, 600 parents showing up at a PTA. I don't need 500. Just give me a good 10 or 50, and I can make mountains move with that.
I love that. And so where can they find Warrior Principal?
It's everywhere. It's on Amazon. Okay. It's on Barnes & Noble. You can also find it at my website at epbsconsultants.com. And everywhere education books are sold.
That's awesome. And what, do you have a social media following, professional following?
Yeah, of course on LinkedIn, and I also have a page on Facebook called Dr. Sharon Israel Publications.
Awesome. I tell you, Dr. Israel, it has been a pleasure, and definitely look forward to reading Warrior Principal and really understanding, because again, when I work with my new assistant principal and new principals, always looking for dynamic resources to share with them. So I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
Thank you.
Right,
and guys, I thank you for joining me for another session of the I Am Dr. Sharon Show. I thank all of my guests, Dr. Shawn B. Israel, Mr. Joe Green, Ms. Ann Austin, and Attorney Elsa Smith. And as always, the bigger the dream, the harder the grind. Push, pray, and continue to grind.
Up against your home. The enemy came up against your children. The enemy came up against your name. The enemy came up against your character. You will win. You will win. Came up against your health. The enemy came up against your finances. The enemy came up against your vision. The enemy came up against your business. You will